Brian was the first guy who was like, really understood tech and understood investing. And he said to us, like, I would invest in this. He's like, this is a great idea. I think you guys are really onto something. Awesome. I like you as a team. I like you as founders. Let's go. And Brian actually did land up investing in the company, and still consider him a good friend and an excellent mentor. Really has. Every time we need him and we call him, he's there for us.
That's amazing.
He's a great guy.
Were some of your early strengths budgeting or setting out how much money you would need to show to the investors? Because a lot of people they don't know how much money you'll start when you're starting something brand new. You don't know.
You don't know. You have no idea. I think we very foolishly thought, if we get $100,000, we could build a massive company. That's just not the case. Yeah. The really cool thing was we leveraged personal contacts and the little bit of money we had with kind of nice new technologies, like I was showing you guys, the 3D printer and stuff, that allowed us to get to a place where we were investable without huge amounts of money.
How did you know what to invest in first? Because that's also, when people have those decisions, you don't know which way you're going to go.
I would say there's two things. There's two things you got to do as quickly as possible. One is build MVP, which is a minimal viable product. So like the bare bones core of the thing. Don't worry about all these fancy whistles and bells and whistles and features. People probably don't want them anyhow. They just want something that works. Yeah. So that's the first thing we did, was like getting core technology down. The second part that we did was investing time as opposed to money into getting early customers. So we actually said, what's the best way to test this? We took these very, very early prototypes. I think like maybe only one of the three worked or something like that. The other were just plastics. And we went to gyms around Ottawa and said, hey, we're building this product. This is a new company that's starting in Ottawa. Would you buy this? And every single gym that we talked to said, I would buy this, and signed our letter of intent to buy the product. Oh, and we were like, oh shit, we should probably go start a company now. Like, this is actually going to work. And I think from there that set us in a place where we could really trust our convictions. We knew we were onto something. And, it was still a tough process. You still had to sell to people. You still had to convince them. You still had to show them value and things. But when you get that much positive feedback across the board, from community centers to large corporate chains to SME operators, private studios, whatever, the whole gambit, that was really awesome. And so we said, let's go. And so it wasn't super capital intensive. It was more time than anything.
Wow, that's cool.
So we'll just take a quick break and we'll listen to one more song from Silvergun Spleen and Jenn from Foodie Prince, and then we'll talk about transitioning the big break in Silicon Valley, I guess, as well as where we're going to go from here. I like the stories of the exploding pieces, some of those kind of things, and hear where we're going now. So it's going to be a lot of fun. If you can come back and join us in just a bit, we'll be right back.
Thanks, guys. Well, since we are signing off for the summer, I thought I would suggest a slew of great food events happening, not just this weekend, but also in the coming weeks. First up are my suggestions for this weekend. I want you to close your eyes and imagine the perfect Saturday morning from your childhood. Did it involve eating a bowl of cereal and watching cartoons all morning? Like me, if that was the most incredible start to your weekend, and you wish you could relive that again, then be sure to check out the 6th volume of the Saturday morning all-you-can-eat cereal cartoon party at the Mayfair Theatre in the Glebe at 1074 Bank Street at Sunnyside. The program features 3 hours of classic cartoons, including some retro commercial breaks, plus a buffet of sugary cereal for everyone who attends. Pajamas are encouraged. You can bring your own spoon and a reasonably sized bowl, and of course your own healthy cereal if you don't want any diabetes-inducing cereal. Admission is $7 for children, $8 for members, $9 for seniors, and $12 for non-members. For more info, go to mayfairtheatre.ca. There are 2 events happening this Sunday. First is the 8th annual Bytown Oyster Fest. Now, I am very sorry to tell you that the event has been completely sold out. However, if you call the Whalesbone Fish Supply Store over on Kent Street, you might have a little bit of luck getting some tickets. Otherwise, consider heading over to the Byward Market. The Capital Street Food Association is presenting Byward Bites from 4 to 9 p.m. at Dalhousie and York. So that's right beside the Great Canadian Cabin. Admission is free, and this is definitely a wonderful opportunity to check out many of Ottawa's food trucks. I'm definitely going to be there myself. Now, the month of July is also looking quite busy. I don't have enough time to list everything, but here are my picks. First is, of course, July 1st. Celebrate Canada Day with Dominion City Brewing Company. They are hosting a party over at the Saul Gallery Courtyard at 67 Nicholas Street. Why not go ahead and fulfill your patriotic duty with good beer, food, and friends? Visit dominionday.ca for ticket prices and details. You can also purchase your tickets directly from the site. For my second pick, well, if you're up for a lovely drive to Castleman, well, I'm here to tell you that Castle Brewery is having their own Rib Fest on July 4th. So if ribs and beer pairings sound good to you, go to castleribfest.ca for more info and to purchase your tickets. And here is my last pick. The Ottawa Asian Festival is bringing back Night Market at Lansdowne for 3 days, running from July 17th to the 19th. Not only is admission free, but you can sample some fantastic Asian street food without having to purchase a plane ticket. Chefs from both Toronto and Ottawa will be on hand serving up some delicious food. Visit www.ottawaasianfest.com for all the details and also for the entertainment schedule. And that's it from me today. Wishing you all a great summer, and I will see you in the fall.
Can't escape, been reading your mind like a Valentine. New wave, I can't stay, been blowing your mind, it's like turpentine. You need to hold on to yourself. Did you believe I would meet you there? You need to hold on to your love, 'cause I'll move through you like a semi-truck. I'll move right through you. I'll move right through you like a semi-truck, semi-truck, like a semi-truck, semi-truck. Too late, I can't wait. I stand in your eyes like I'm Valentine. New age, I can't fake.
All right, thank you so much, Jen. So lots of great food events this weekend, and of course, all throughout July and August.
And I'm craving oysters now.
Yeah, just hope it gets better. And that song was Semi-Truck from Silvergun Spleen. See them July 12th, 3 p.m. at the Canadian stage. So 18 months we've grown this big, and I guess one of the biggest breaks, as reported in the OBJ Ottawa Business Journal a few months ago, I think it was. Maybe 3 months ago. I don't know where time goes anymore.
Neither do I.
I know, it's just like yesterday I was reading that you came into a big influx of money, which is absolutely amazing. That just shows that more people are believing in you, and they're not even from Ottawa. So how is, for anybody that's listening, how was that process for you? Because that is something completely foreign, walking into that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we really had ever the intention of going to Silicon Valley. I think we thought maybe naively that we could do it here in Ottawa, but we actually went to a festival in Montreal called the International Startup Festival, and there we met a gentleman by the name of Dave McClure. Dave McClure comes from what they call like the PayPal mafia, so kind of all the guys who started PayPal, so Elon Musk and all the famous investors who kicked off from there. Dave was actually the first CMO, Chief Marketing Officer there, and he was at that company for quite some time, helped build it up. left and actually went to run Facebook's investment wing. From there, went and started his own venture capital fund called 500 Startups, which does seed stage investment in companies based out of San Francisco, which is right next to Silicon Valley. They're kind of the same thing. We were introduced to Dave by another Canadian entrepreneur named Dan Martell, who actually just exited, I believe his third company that he just exited called Clarity. And Dan's an awesome guy, and he saw what we were doing and was just like, oh shit, like, Dave, look at this. Yeah. He was like, look at this. Dave was like, hey man. Like,
did you know Dave from before?
I didn't know him. I mean, I knew who he was. I'd heard his name and whatever, but he kind of had like these people following him and fanboying around him, and I was just like, who's this guy? He seems super cool. Like, he seems like he has smart questions, and we were just shooting the shit, and he was like, cool man, like, here's my card, like, send me your deck, like, let's talk. And looked at his card, and I was like, 500 startups. Like, oh shit, like, that's crazy. Nice. So I called my co-founder. I was like, man, like, I just met the founder of 500 Startups. He said what we're doing is awesome. He's like, so cool. We landed up like meeting up later that day for drinks, and he was like, hey, would you ever move to San Francisco and let me invest in your company? And I was like, okay, yeah, that's insane. and so we did, and we signed documents the next day. 2 days later,
when you got to San Fran?
No, in Canada. Okay. We signed documents.
He met with you in Montreal?
In Montreal, yeah, okay. Montreal. Signed documents.
You weren't expecting this at all.
No. This
was
like
you're signing something.
Yeah, for an investment into your company from a real venture capital fund.
Did somebody tell you don't hesitate when this guy talks to you?
Our lawyer Shane from LaBarge Weinstein, which is like an awesome law firm specifically for startups and tech companies based.
I was going to ask, did somebody review these documents?
Yeah, no, he's signing shit.
Take it away.
I mean, honestly,
of the company.
we probably would have done that too because like it was just a different time. But no, we got our lawyer to review them, and I was like, "What do you think we should do?" And he was like, "Sign the documents and go. You're insane if you don't. Like, this is an opportunity that I think every single cohort they run, every single like batch of companies they invest in." I think they have something like almost 2,000 companies that try to get invested for every 30 they accept. It's like less people get in than Harvard. Like it's crazy.
So for these 2,000, are they meeting him the same way?
They're applying. They're proactive. They're trying to get investment.
Wow. So when he comes to you, it's basically game set.
Yeah, and he was like, "If you don't do this, you're freaking crazy. Go for it." And we were like, "Okay, cool." And I went to San Francisco 2 days later. I didn't even have a passport. Like I had to go to the passport office. So I was like, I have to go to San Francisco. Wow. Like we just got invested in our company. I need a passport.
Did you tell him you don't have a passport?
I did. He was like, can you be here on Monday? I was like, hey man, like I don't have a passport. Like on Wednesday, and he was like, okay, fine, Wednesday. That's okay. And so we packed up, and everyone was like, I think people didn't believe us when we told them. They were like, okay, I remember calling my dad and was like, hey man, like I'm gonna move to San Francisco.
Call your dad, hey man?
Yeah, and I was like, I'm gonna move to San Francisco and we get investment with these guys. He was like, what are you talking about? Like that's not real. Like I think he thought I was making shit up.
Yeah.
So it was super surreal. Never been to San Francisco before. Never been like even really to the West Coast. And next thing we know, like we're being published about in TechCrunch and all these huge publications and like
sweet.
Think like a week.
Who aligned the TechCrunch? How did you?
It was through 500. Like they kind of did a press thing for it. Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah. And then I remember like when it really hit me, I was like at some tech event in San Francisco, and someone was talking to someone. I was like, oh yeah, like I run a company called Gymtrack, called 500, called Gymtrack, and the guy was like, oh, I know Gymtrack, like you're in 500, and I was like, what? Yeah. How do you know who I am? That's insane. So it was crazy, and then from there we were able to. I think having a U.S. presence really helped us land some amazing customers down in the States. Mm-hmm. While I was down there, my co-founder Pablo came back. He basically was building out the team and company and product while I was doing the fundraising.
So how did Pablo come and just start with? Because you're growing a team now. Like this is pretty crazy when one person goes straight to GM here and then starts building a team. What were some of his like?
So I mean, I have a huge amount of respect for everything he's done. It's we're very, very different in our personalities, our ways of thinking. I think it's very complementary in the way that we look at things and the problems that we handle. It's actually really funny because, originally when we set out, he was going to be the one who was doing the fundraising and sales and that kind of stuff, and I was going to be the one doing the team building and product stuff. And just kind of happened organically where we total just 180 switched roles.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think it was really cool because it was stuff